Alright guys, TacticalRab back again today. Hope y'all are doing well and enjoying your day so far, and the Rostermania picture is becoming increasingly clear. We went through 3 major Rostermania rumours yesterday. We're going to finish off the job today and break down every single rumour as it stands at the present time. There's some big ones in here. This pretty much covers the entirety of the CDL for 2022. Very much intrigued to your thoughts on these in the comment section below. Like if you guys enjoyed the video, subscribe if you're new as always, I would greatly appreciate it. Really up to the channel, thank you very much indeed for doing that. The big red button, your best friend in times like these. As Brian Saint says, just to kick off the video, based on these roster rumours floating around, the level of competition in this league this year should actually be insane. Indeed it should. Some of these teams are nasty, and a lot of them could, on paper at least, seem to be championship contenders, but of course it's very tough to say. I'm sure we'll do power rankings way down the line when we actually finally have the announcements of all these teams coming over the coming days and weeks. Let's go through the 3 very briefly we touched on yesterday. Zero, Nasty, Gizmo and Afro. That's going to be the Royal Ravens as things stand right now. Things are could still change. We've got September the 5th, that's tomorrow. That's finally when teams can actually start signing some of these players. Seattle are going for Accuracy, Sib, Mac and Pred we talked about yesterday, and this was kind of the main one of yesterday's video. Los Angeles Grillers, Slasher, Huke, Gunless, Asim. This on paper, nasty team, immediately seem like contenders to be honest. It'd be kind of crazy to see Los Angeles Grillers actually competing towards the upper end of the table rather than lower end, but yeah, still an exciting squad, no doubt about that one. So, those are the 3 rumours we touched on yesterday. Let's dive into what has exactly happened over these last after that video went live. This from Crone. Toronto are expected to stick together after all. Kind of what we talked about a couple of days ago. CleanX had, but he was fielding off with some other teams. I think there was certainly talk about him going to some other organisations. But he eventually comes back and says, look, I kind of do still want a team with this Toronto squad. Like, it certainly makes sense, right? The best European team we've ever had in Call of Duty. So it's exciting to see their progress, and I'm happy they're sticking together, right? Because I think without CleanX, it would have been a really tough time for them to get a good SMG replacement. I think he's a very valuable piece of that team. So good to see Ultra sticking. FaZe, of course, are going to be sticking as well. We'll look at it in just a second. But yeah, at the end of the day, Ultra are sticking. If CleanX had gone elsewhere, that probably would have caused even more chaos. Like, some of these rosters are pretty crazy. Like, there's a lot of chaos that's gone down in Rostermania. If CleanX had indeed gone elsewhere, because he didn't re-sign his contract, then this Rostermania could have been even crazier than it might have been. Well, it already is right now, to be honest. The other team that's sticking it seems to be Minnesota Rokkr. So, to be fair, this does make kind of sense after the finish to the season that they had, winning the Stage 5 Major. Not the result they necessarily wanted at the World Championship, but difficult to find an upgrade in a lot of those positions. So Toronto, Rokkr, and Atlanta FaZe are going to stick. That means 9 teams are going to change their rosters. Kind of what you might have predicted going into this offseason, and well, especially after Rocker's great result at the Stage 5 Major. But still, things could have been even more chaotic than they already are right here. So those are the 2 teams that are changing. This is the first one to touch on in terms of big rumours. This is what I've been talking about a couple of days ago now. Crimsix, Clayster, Neptune, and Hydra supposedly going to be the new Subliners roster. I did wonder whether Crim and Clay were going to do this reunion, because they've certainly been talking about it for some time now. Like, Clayster was, well, at least Crimsix wanted Clayster to join the Dallas Empire in the middle of this season and kind of make that happen again after Huke got dropped. And, well, still, it seems like it's going to be happening now, but on a different organisation. So, okay, Crim and Clay coming back together, that's not a massive surprise. Clay is their main AR, Crim is kind of like the second AR, faster AR, flex type player, which honestly, I think he's probably better suited to that anyway. And Clay and Crimsix have kind of the perfect mesh of leadership styles to make a team like this work, and Clayster probably felt like he needed some help with the leadership side to deal with Hydra and the difficulties that has entailed. So Neptune also coming in though is a very interesting one to me, because of course Neptune was on the Mutineers this season, a very talented player for them and very well had some good results with them and some great series. He's going to be one of the SMGs alongside Hydra. On paper that's a nasty duo. Can Clayster and Crimsix keep up with some of the other AR duos in the game? That remains to be seen, but nonetheless an exciting roster. So of course so much success together, Crimsix and Clayster. This actually points at a Lion card from a while ago. Like, look at these stats right here on the bottom left-hand side. 17 tournaments played together, 13 of them they've made the grand finals in, 11 of them they've won. Out of World Championships they've attended together back in, of course, well, Modern Warfare on Dallas Empire. They won that one. Series win to loss 70 and 16. They have the highest average placing, I'm pretty sure, of any duo in the entire history of Call of Duty. From even when they competed way back in Ghosts, briefly on Complexity, and then most recently on the Dallas Empire. And as Clay says right here, 76+% chance of being in the grand finals every tourney. Whether that record will continue here on the New York subliners, if that does indeed happen, that of course does remain to be seen. Interesting, of course, on the Mutineers side though, like the fact that if they're getting rid of Neptune here, like what do they do for next year? Because Neptune was clearly one of their greatest talents. I thought they were going to try and build around him as much as possible. If it were me, I'd have said, okay, let's keep Neptune, let's keep Skies, and then go from there. But to be fair, if they're going to get a big offer for Neptune, that kind of seems to be the Mutineers' way, and like Misfits as well, who are kind of under the same ownership group. Like let's do a really good job scouting talent, and then just sell them on for a bit more money. So it seems like right now, Skies, Awakening, Havoc, and Yeez have all been extended, and they're also interested in signing DavPaddy, who plays a main AR. Really interesting. Why would you need another main AR here? You've got Skies, Awakening, Havoc, and Yeez. Like, is Havoc and Yeez going to be your SMG duo for this season? Like, what are you going to do with Skies and Awakening? Like, if there's one camp that I don't really have confidence building a successful team right now, it might be the Florida Mutineers. So, interesting situation, something to keep your eyes on for sure. Let's just touch briefly on this then. So, the rumor still is going to be for the Dallas OpTic, or OpTic Dallas, or OpTic Dallas Empire, or OpTic Gaming Dallas Empire. I don't know. People have been throwing around so many names what this franchise spot could potentially be called and what the logo could look like. But yeah, Dallas roster still expected to be Scump, Dashy, Shotzzy, and ILLey. I mean, we talked about this, of course, a few days ago, but this is certainly pretty scary, no doubt. And other teams are trying to compete with FaZe and also compete with the talent that is on a roster like this and the potential that it does indeed have. One of the teams, of course, trying to do that is Los Angeles Thieves. This is the rumor as it stands right now. Octane returning to LA Thieves, not really a massive surprise at the end of the day. We thought this might well happen, especially when Slasher was announced he was going to be off the team. Well, maybe Octane coming into that team makes a fair bit of sense. Kenny staying there, of course, that was almost a guarantee. Then you've got to figure out what the SMG duo looks like on the squad. According to Crone, right now, Drazah is going to be staying on the team. I'm happy for Drazah, right, because at the end of the day, he went through so many ups and downs. I think that Kenny had a lot of respect for him, actually, and in terms of what he achieved and what he brought to the table for Los Angeles Thieves this past season, despite not having the greatest results. So Octane and Kenny, they're going to run it back from 100 Thieves back in Black Ops 4, of course, and then it looks like they're going to finish out their squad with Envoy. So yes, Envoy and Drazah, the SMG duo. I guess that Drazah's going to be kind of the entry guy. He can do it all, to be honest, in pretty much every role and match Envoy quite nicely. So we'll have to see how this goes. But yeah, immediately, this team seems like another contender. Exciting to see Envoy get on a squad like this. And despite getting, well, as Crone describes it right here, the short end of the stick this offseason. Of course, all the articles I will leave links to down below if you guys would like to check out the entire thing. But yeah, pretty ridiculous stuff. That means Octane, Kenny, Envoy, and Drazah is going to be Los Angeles Thieves. And already we've got some serious contenders for the upcoming season, despite having just gone through a few rosters right here. So there's still a lot to be discussed in terms of what some of these other rosters do. Paris Legion, for example, we don't even know right now if they're going to be selling their spot or anything. Legion have reached out to multiple challenger players from both Europe and North America. Unsure if they have an exact lineup ready to go though. So there's some teams that we don't know what they're doing right now. Firstly, the Mutineers is kind of up in the air, a bit of a question mark. Of course, Paris Legion last season, if they do stay in COD, which would be kind of strange after the announcements and kind of the leaks that we've seen these last several days, but even last year, right, they waited so long to actually make a confirmation of what their team was going to be. They pretty much waited to the last minute, paid everyone a minimum salary, and brought in a team which looks decent on paper, was never realistically going to compete for championships. So that's why I'm kind of hoping they're out of here, because they're probably going to have the same mindset this year, even if they're getting challenger players, which maybe is a good idea for them, but at the same time, like, it didn't really work out too well for them last season when they tried similar things at times. And we also get this though, so Chicago's, which is currently NRG Esports. So seems like right now Hex, of course, is going to merge OpTic Gaming with the Envy brand or whatever, and therefore they're going to own the OpTic Dallas spot together kind of thing. But still, the Chicago spot will be owned by NRG Esports, even though it's not going to be called OpTic Chicago as it was previously. Therefore, what do NRG Esports do? They, in theory, could just enter the league themselves, which would be kind of spicy at the end of the day if Andy Miller and co decided, let's just do that and compete with Hex in that sense. More than likely, they'll probably sell it elsewhere. And well, other teams certainly have been in discussion. We'll talk about it a bit more later today. Cloud9, for example, TSM was even a bit of a consideration after they signed a COD mobile team yesterday, which I thought was kind of interesting. But I mean, still, Chicago spot up in the air. That's why we won't really hear any movement on what these rosters are going to be for the Chicago spot, also for the Paris Legion spot, much closer to the time. But I mean, this also from Crow, just to kind of finish off the roster rumors to run through, Atlanta FaZe are expected to keep winning, despite all these changes to the contrary. These are the rumored rosters then from top to bottom. Dallas, Scump, Dashy, Shotzzy, and ILLey. I mean, it's already pretty scary. Florida, Skies, Awakening, Havoc, and Yeez. I imagine with DavPaddy right now sitting there on the sub bench. Not exactly so convinced about that one, but I'm sure there's so much more to be said about these rosters over the coming days. London, Afro, 0. Should be a 0 right here than an O at the end, but it's okay. Nasty and Gizmo Gizmo, LAG and LA Thieves. So there's going to be some great rivalries between these two teams if they happen. Slasher, Huke, aBeZy and Gunless on Los Angeles Thieves, Octane, Kenny, Drazah, Envoy, Seattle Surge, Accuracy, Max, Sib and Pred, and New York Subliners, Clayster, Crimsix, Hydra and Neptune. Very exciting stuff. Of course, well, some of these other teams yet to quite be confirmed. We're still pretty sure that 3 of the teams will be sticking in terms of Minnesota Rokkr, Toronto Ultra, and of course Atlanta FaZe. But this is kind of what things look like, well, as Imagine Gersh puts on the flank socials last night, just to see exactly what all these teams could look like on paper. What do you guys think is the scariest squad? It's somewhat tough to say right now. Of course, these things could still change. Things could fall through. People can get offers from elsewhere, and let's say a massive organization comes in, tries to snap one of these guys away for some of the Chicago or Paris spots, whatever that might look like, then, well, we could be in for a wild ride, no doubt, but I'm sure we already are, with rosters looking like this. And as Slack says, just to finish off the job, some of these rosters got me pretty mind-blown indeed. So yes, what are your thoughts in the comment section below? It's tough to say exactly what the scariest one is for me. The one I think I'm most excited to see might well be the Los Angeles Guerrilla squad. It would be crazy to see a team right at the bottom of the pack for a couple of years. Now with Slasher, Gunless, Huke and aBeZy, that is pretty nasty on paper. How can they compete with some of these other rosters that are all trying to take down and dethrone Atlanta FaZe next year? Very much intrigued to your thoughts on all this stuff in the comment section below. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy it, I'd greatly appreciate a like on the video. It really helps out the YouTube algorithm. I know you enjoyed this content. I know people like you may enjoy this content as well, and I've grown the competitive Call of Duty community. Thank you as always, take care, and I will see you next time.